Welcome to the Brandon Lakey Show.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Brandon Lakey Show. I'm Lyndon Wilson, the creator of The Difference. We started The Difference going on 2 years now to help small businesses connect with the community. And that's exactly what Brandon's going to be doing today. Brandon has a show called Compounding Communities, and I'm going to let him talk about that a little bit. Brandon, we just got started with Brandon's show just a few weeks ago, and he is definitely hitting a home run. I encourage you to stay tuned, listen a little bit about what's going on around the communities here and the businesses that are available to you if that's what you're looking for. If you're looking to partner, if you hire local, shop local, and buy local, then shows like this are really important because you're going to get to see who you're doing business with. I'm going to bring on Brandon now. What's up, bud?
Hey, how's it going, Lyndon?
Good, Mr. Vacation Man. Been traveling the world, huh?
Yeah, we've been fortunate to take a couple of trips here recently, recharge the batteries, and so now we're back home and back at it.
Yep. The rude awakening of what real life is all about, right?
Oh yeah.
So, tell us a little bit about what's going on with the show today. Also, I want you to tell everybody a little bit about Wealth Wave. I know before you get started, you're going to have a segment at the end where you're talking about something that's really vital to anybody that lives. It has to have money to live, right?
Yep, absolutely. Well, excited to be here, and again, just want to welcome everybody. Welcome to Compounding Communities with Brandon Lakey. I'm Brandon Lakey. Excited to talk to you today. We've got some cool stuff lined up for today. We've got a healthcare representative. Now, healthcare is one of those things that most of us have. If you don't have it, you're probably thinking about it or knowing that you need to have it. And so we've got a guest with Revolt Healthcare, Mark Geiger. Guy that, this is a topic that's near and dear to my heart, a guy that I've grown to be really great friends with. And so I'm excited to tell you about that and for you to learn a little bit about that. We've also got Shannon Cagle on with Creek and Timber Legacy. And so if you're an outdoors person, if you care about the community, that's going to be something that I think is going to really add value to you. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about what I call the compound effect, our segment called the compound effect, where I'm going to talk today about college funds and $1 million baby funds and some of those types of topics that you may have on your mind or you may be thinking about at some point. So, and then we'll do a little community update at the end, some upcoming events in the community, and we'll talk about that. So I'm excited to be here, excited to be back in the saddle. We've been gone for the last 2 weeks, so appreciate you guys that have been continuing to watch our first and second episode, and I'm excited to bring you our third radio show here. So with that being said, I'll talk a little bit about our title sponsor which is Wealth Wave. Wealth Wave is the How Money Works company. And you say, well, what does that even mean? Well, what that means is it's a full service financial and insurance brokerage. And the goal being to just teach you how to win the money game, teach you how money works, teach you the things that wealthy people have been using for years to get ahead and move their families ahead, that typically middle lower class, even some middle upper class families weren't privy to. What I learned long ago is that if you are a certain social status, if you are a certain financial status, you get access to maybe some information, some tips, strategies, things like that maybe normal everyday people don't get access to. So that's what I'm passionate about. Me personally, Brandon Lakey, we've got this show, Compounding Communities. And so going along with the name, Compounding Communities being bringing our communities together, creating the strongest, best communities we can, but also on the financial education side, teaching and educating people. And really, Lyndon, to break it down very simple, I teach people day in and day out all the things that you wish someone would have taught you when you were 19.
Right.
And that's really what it comes down to is being able to take those concepts, incorporate those into your life, and make changes, make actionable changes moving forward to where you're on track in all kinds of areas. And so, with that being said, I'll show you our book here. We've got our book, How Money Works: Stop Being a Sucker. It is really cool book, and it's 100% educational. So you may think, well, what is this book, and is it something that I should take a look at? Well, the good thing to know is it's written at a 6th grade level. It is written in comic book form. If you're curious here, I'll show you the inside. You've got a couple of different characters. I can guarantee that you will identify with one, if not multiple, of these characters in terms of different segments of your life. And this book goes through what's called the 7 money milestones. And so if you are working your way, or if you're someone who has interest in getting your own financial house in order, these 7 money milestones is something that's going to be vital for you to do, and for you to kind of go through each milestone and be able to check that box. And I tell you what, in closing on this topic, we've got over 500,000 of these books in print. If you'd like a copy, put hashtag the difference or hashtag WealthWave, either one, in the chat, and we'll ship you one of these books for free. I think they're 16 or 18 bucks on Amazon. But a book like this, education that this book provides, will surely allow you to lay your head on the pillow at night a little bit easier, a little less things to worry about. I know for all of us, there's a million things going on in the world right now, a million things trying to distract you and pull your attention in every direction. The ability to say, hey, when it comes to this topic, we're good. That's taken care of. It's on autopilot. We've got a professional helping us, and this box is checked, and we can go on and worry about other things like vacations, our families, the community, stuff like that. That's a good feeling. So that's what I'm all about. That's what WealthWave is all about. Our second sponsor, our newest sponsor, is actually tied in with our first guest, Revolt Healthcare. Revolt Healthcare is an incredible company. It's an incredible group of managing partners that I've grown to actually know and trust. It's a business that you'll see. One thing that's unique about me is that I don't recommend businesses. I don't recommend professionals that I either haven't vetted out or done business with. And if I don't think enough of them to do business personally myself, I would never recommend them to you. So with that being said, we want to welcome our titles, one of our title sponsors, Revolt Healthcare, Mr. Mark Geiger.
Hey, Brandon. Thank you.
Hey, Mark. Man, thanks for being here. Really appreciate you taking some time to allow us to get to know you. Going along with the theme of compounding communities, rather than just bringing on businesses and saying, "Hey, what do you sell?" One of my missions, and one of the things that I saw an opportunity to do in the North Dallas area was really bring a level of personalization, bring a level of community to an area where we have a lot of people moving in, a lot of people that are buying houses, moving into houses, building houses, and you move in because the area is beautiful, because the schools are great, because you've heard great things about the communities, but we don't really, there's a lot of people that I feel like you don't know a ton of people, because a lot of us, myself included, moved to Melissa in August during the middle of the pandemic. So not exactly a great time to get out and socialize with the community. So, what I want to do is just learn a little bit about you, Mark. Who are you? Where did you come from? How did you get here? What makes you tick? I'll give you the floor a little bit there.
Okay. Yeah. So Mark Geiger, I'm the managing partner of Revolt Healthcare Alliance. Congratulations on the new show. I'm real happy for you about that. Glad to be a sponsor and support you with this. I think your mission and vision for trying to, connect the community with not only viable businesses, but good people to do business with. Ben and I are standing behind you on that. As far a little bit about me, I was born in Texas. So I'm a true native Texan, but my father was in the military. He was in the Air Force. So I've literally lived all over the world, a lot of different states in the U.S., New Hampshire, Arizona, Washington, D.C. Probably most favorite place to have ever lived was Germany. From there, we were able to, travel all over Europe. We were there for 4 years. So I feel very fortunate to have been able to, experience different cultures and different economies, growing up, and all the experience that gave me. Yeah.
Yeah, nice. That's awesome. And then
Yeah.
in terms of, I don't know if you guys can see over the radio show, but you might be able to tell that Mark is in terrible shape. No, I'm just kidding. Mark is in incredible shape. As you can see, he's in healthcare, but he's also, I know he's very passionate about health and fitness, and that ties into his background. Dude's in great shape. I mean, listen, I don't sit next to him when we go eat lunch together. It makes me look bad. But Mark, tell us about that. Tell me a little bit about your passion for health and healthcare and how that weaves in together.
Yeah, so that's one thing. I consider myself to be extremely blessed. I've always been able to do the things that I'm passionate about. I've never really, I came from middle class, being a military brat, but I've never really had to, worry about money. I've just always chased my heart and the things that I wanted to do. Growing up, my dad was an avid runner. So at 8 years old, I was waking up and running 3 miles before school, right? Elementary school. And that bled into, weightlifting in my preteens. And, I'm going to be 48 next month. And I was doing the math. I started lifting weights when I was 12. And so it's really hard to say this out loud, but I've been lifting weights for 36 years. I don't even really feel 36 years old. I mean, my joints, my body does, but my brain doesn't. But yeah, fitness has always just been a very important part of my life. And I made a career of it. So, after graduating with, I got an education in it. I've got a degree in exercise physiology and kinesiology, a minor in nutrition. And I actually used that after graduating from college. I worked real hard. I grinded for a few years, saved up quite a bit of money. And it was always a dream of mine to own gyms. And so, again, blessed to be able to do that. I owned and operated 2 health clubs over a 12-year period in the DFW Metroplex. They were called Healthy Images, more small personal training studios, right, providing health and wellness services to the communities, helping people. And that was very, very rewarding. And so yeah, everything related. I'm on the healthcare side now, as far as instead of the preventive healthcare, and I'm instead of hands-on helping people improve their health, now I'm kind of on the business side of it, right, and kind of on the money side of it, like you. Helping people take care of their health and protect their finances at the same time with the state of the healthcare system the way that it is. But yeah,
absolutely. Absolutely. And I definitely want to ask you more about that. And before we get to that, your background, you were with Cigna for a while after you owned some gyms. Tell me about that and kind of what you learned, and then how that played into your passion for Revolt and starting something new.
Yeah. So I've always been an entrepreneur. And so it was really weird for me after I sold the gyms. Really didn't know what I was going to do. I actually wrote a book. I'm a published author. It's called A Physical Walk with God. You can get it on Amazon. It's basically a faith-based approach to how to take care of yourself. And I partnered with a lot of different local churches to donate the proceeds of the sales of the book. We would go in, we would educate the community members and church members on, how to take care of themselves and kind of set up a weight loss contest. And so I kind of did some nonprofit work after the health clubs, and after deciding, okay, this nonprofit thing can't last forever. I need to get back to work. Somehow, in a weird twist of fate, I found myself working at a multinational, $100 billion corporation like Cigna, where I was no longer the CEO. I was no longer the owner calling all the shots. It was a very humbling experience. And so I got a tremendous amount of Fortune 100 corporate experience. They're now the 13th largest company in the world. And so when you think about that, it's pretty amazing for them being a healthcare company, along with all of the technology companies that are out there. But I drank the Kool-Aid, man. I loved it. I loved our CEO the first 3-4 years. Dude, I thought I could change the world from within, right? The 14 million customers that they have, the billions of dollars in resources, and 40,000 employees. Everybody's got their own agenda, and of course, the number one agenda that stockholders share price, and so things are not always done for the good of the customer. The customer's not always, they brag about being customer centric, but I think they're more shareholder value centric than anything else. And I was there for about 8 years, and towards the end, I just started seeing the flaws in the system, just how predatory healthcare is. Some of the injustices kind of made me angry. I'm kind of a crusader for justice, so I ended up leaving Cigna to start Revolt Healthcare Alliance with my business partner for the purpose of helping people get better insurance. And like you talk about the money game, right? And you hate to call it a game because the stakes are so high with money, but it's the same with us, right? If you go to our website, revolthealthcare.com, we talk about the healthcare game. And again, it's not a game, man. I mean, this is your life, this is your finances, and the game is rigged. And I make no bones about saying that the healthcare system is rigged. It's run by bureaucrats. It's run by lobbyists, and our health and our families. They're not the number one interest. It's all about money. And so, at Revolt Healthcare, like you, we're all about education. I can sell any kind of insurance product in the world that I want to, but I choose to sell this one because of the education component that comes with it and how much we're helping people fight back against the predatory system that's out there.
Yeah, absolutely. And then when you look at, and I tell you what, before I go on that thought, I appreciate you saying that. What you said is some pretty powerful stuff there. And so, if you're listening and this is the first time you've heard some of this stuff about major medical, maybe you may even be thinking, yeah, that's kind of what I assumed, or that's kind of what I'd heard. But that's some pretty powerful statements. But we've seen time and time again over the years, companies that have they grow to such a large size where in the beginning maybe they were customer centric, maybe they were really mission driven, but then they grow to such a size where you see customer service just kind of goes out the window. It becomes profits over people rather than what it originally started as. These companies grow to just these giants. And then, like you said, you've got shareholder interests, you've got things like that. And then you start to hear stories of injustices for people who have coverage, but they decide not to pay for something. I think we've all heard those stories in our communities for someone that had something happen. They thought they could rely on their major medical health care coverage. It didn't cover it. And you shared with me some statistics about bankruptcies and stuff like that when it comes to healthcare. Share with us some of those.
Yeah. So more than 20,000 families have to file bankruptcy every year because they can't pay their medical bills. And 80% of those folks that are filing bankruptcy actually had health insurance, right? So why are they, if they have health insurance, why are they having to file bankruptcy? Why is the insurance is not working, right? And just a personal example, not a bankruptcy example, but so this, the 8 years that I was at Cigna, right? I paid over $23,000 in premiums, and in my 7th year, in a time of need, I needed an MRI, and they denied me. I paid my $3,000 deductible, and they would not give me an MRI. And meanwhile, the CEO's knocking down $100 million. And it's just not right. And so, that's just one example. But there's horror stories out there. Number one cause of bankruptcy in the United States is lack of health insurance covering medical bills.
Yeah, it's really wild. And the number of people that I talk to in my side of the industry that don't have health care, or they have health care and they're paying a pretty steep amount for some pretty limited coverages. A lot of times you see these extremely large deductibles, but people are still paying a lot of money and they're utilizing a work provided insurance, and they're thinking, well, this must be the best because my work provides it. It must be the best thing available to me. What would you say to that person that's just utilizing the what's provided to them, and maybe they don't realize there's other options out there?
Yeah, I hate to use the word brainwashed because it makes it sound like people aren't savvy enough. But to a degree, I mean, we're all brainwashed, right? If I wasn't an expert in the field that I'm in, I might be brainwashed to believe that major medical, that's my only option. The Affordable Care Act. Some people call it Obamacare. That's my only option, and God help us if that's really our only option, right? Because a family of four, having to pay anywhere from $1,200 to $1,500 a month for insurance, and then they can't even use it until they meet their $10,000 deductible. So basically, they're throwing away, I don't know, just 1,200 times 1,200 a month times 12, 14 grand, $14,400 a year, and they can't even use their insurance. That's not capitalism. And earlier when I was talking about the predatory healthcare system, don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm all for capitalism, but there's a difference between that and usury and profiteering. And
right.
So,
absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Well, I look forward to having you on, and I know we're going to have your business partner Ben on, and we're going to rotate you guys, kind of back and forth. So we'll have you on. So if you're listening to this and this is kind of piquing your interest, your ears are perking up, and you're saying, hey, wait a second, maybe this healthcare thing, it might be something to put on a to-do list to revisit. What I'm excited about is we're going to drill down in the coming weeks and talk about what Revolt offers, how they're different from major medical. We're not going to get into all that today. I really just wanted to give you guys an opportunity to meet Mark, see that he's a great guy. He's a guy that I put like I said, I'm a client of Revolt Healthcare. I put the trust and my family's future and healthcare needs in his hands. So I trust in him implicitly, him and Ben, incredible guys, and talk about knowledgeable from an education standpoint. If you have questions about healthcare, these are guys that will take the time. I found myself so frustrated as a younger guy, not having parents that really could help me a ton with healthcare. I found myself frustrated trying to navigate this stuff and then trying to figure out, like, who can you ask about these questions? Who's going to give you information? And what I love about Mark and Ben and the whole Revolt organization is the fact that I was able to spend some quality time to say, explain to me how, what I have works. Because I already had health insurance, obviously. How does this work? What's out there available? And what was really cool about that is that, my wife's we're expecting a boy in September. They were even upfront and honest with me to say, hey, listen, here's what you need to do. You need something different over here for your wife temporarily. This is what you need for you and your daughter. And took the time to really teach me how this stuff works, to where now this is not a stressor for me. This is not I think for a lot of us, you have those key items in your life that you put on the shelf. Sometimes it's money, sometimes it's healthcare, sometimes it's family, sometimes it's whatever. Those are the stressors in your life, and you try your best to put them in a box and put them on the shelf and not think about them. And so for me now, healthcare is one of those things that I don't stress about. I don't worry about it, but it was quite the opposite for years and years. So I'm excited to have Mark and Ben on and give our listeners an opportunity to learn more about them, learn more about their offering. So, stay tuned for future episodes. You'll be able to learn more. So, Mark, thank you again for the time. I appreciate you coming on. Look forward to future conversations, brother.
Absolutely, Brandon. Thanks for having me. Have a great afternoon.
We'll see you. So our next segment is something that, if you watched our first show, when I talked about the topics, the areas that I wanted to talk about on this radio show, I wanted to talk about things that were happening in the community, but I also am a lover of all things outdoors. And so when I have the opportunity to combine those two topics, my ears really perk up. And so I'm very excited for our next guest. We've got a Creek and Timber Legacy. Mr.
Brandon,
Mark.
he's actually not logged in yet.
Okay. All right.
So
we'll move to our next segment, and we'll get
there
Mark
we go.
in. here in a second. So next segment is a segment that I call the compound effect. And the compound effect is brought to you by WealthWave. This is kind of our quick financial education minute. And the topic we're going to talk about today is college funds and what we call $1 million baby funds. And there's lots of different names for college funds out there. You don't necessarily want to get hung up on the marketing, because what happens is lots of companies, they have their version of a college fund. And so they'll name it something different for you to think or say, oh, well, this is special and different. And sometimes it isn't, sometimes it's not. So college funds, $1 million baby funds. Here's the quick 2-minute basics on those funds. A traditional 529 or Coverdale plan, there's some few differences in between, but in general, we're talking about money that you would like to set aside for your kids for the purpose of their future, for the purpose of college. Now, the key difference is that you may have seen already if you start Googling, 529 funds, and you start educating yourself and researching some of this stuff, what you might find about traditional 529 college funds is they do have some rules, and they have some rules that you follow. And I'm not going to be able to get into covering all the rules, and there's a possibility that I might leave one out, because there's a pretty good list of rules that you've got to follow for 529s. But the general idea is this: the money is supposed to be spent on what they call qualified college expenses. Now, for some people, they say, hey, that's fine. That's okay. And that's what I want to do. But there is also a pretty large group of people that I've come across that say, what if my son or daughter gets a full-ride scholarship or even a partial scholarship, and I've got money in this 529? What if my kid is a very talented musician or artist, or nowadays with these young kids, what if they're a YouTuber? What if they are some type of personality like that, where maybe a traditional 4-year state university isn't the best path for them? I think, we had a sociology person that our firm hired to bring in, and they talked about the pendulum swing and how it has changed every 10, 15, 20 years, how the extremes within our society of, for a while, it was the extreme of, if you don't get a 4-year degree, you will never be successful. And that was kind of the prevailing thought among society and among parents, that you had to get a 4-year degree. And that wasn't the case for a long time. And it swung to that pendulum. And now, from a sociology standpoint, what we're being told is it is kind of coming back the other direction, where, certainly specialized degrees, 4-year degrees, stuff like that, that's all very important. But there's also a growing crowd and a growing community of people that say, okay, should you go to a technical school? Should you go to something that's more specific? If you're going to get into some certain field, do you need a 4-year university, or do you need a 2-year associate's degree? Or do you need a 4-year degree and a master's and a doctorate? There's all the ranges, but I think you see more and more people nowadays going into trades that don't necessarily require a 4-year degree. So I say all that to say this: there's been some concern among a lot of people that I talk to in the community, that what if I put this money into a 529 plan and my kid doesn't go to college? Am I going to have trouble getting the money out of the account if no one else in our family is going to go to school? Maybe that's the youngest kid and no one else is going to school, so you don't have the ability to use that money for other schooling. And that's a very valid concern. So one of the things that we put in place that's actually become more popular than traditional 529 plans is what's called $1 million baby fund. Now, very simply, this is an account for a child that is owned and controlled by the parents. The parents control the money. They make the decisions on the money, but it's for the benefit of the child. And the flexibility that people really like is the fact that the money can be used for whatever the parents deem necessary. So maybe I have a lot of parents that are putting extra money in to where they'll have money available to pay for a kid's first vehicle. Now, you can't do that with a traditional 529, but maybe you've got a 16-year-old, and at that point, you don't necessarily want to keep chauffeuring these kids around town. So you say, well, I'd really like the ability to have my kid drive himself. Okay, well, what are our options to get them vehicles? Well, mom and dad can come out of pocket. They can pull money out of their retirement accounts. Not always the best option there. We can send our 16-year-old into the bank, and hopefully they meet someone that's not going to absolutely rake them over the coals with a 9, 10, 12% interest rate because, hey, you're young, you don't have a credit score yet. Most likely they're going to get that high interest rate, and mom and dad are going to have to co-sign, thus tying up future loan availability for the parents if they want to go do some things. So there's some complicating factors there. So as you can see, the path I'm going down, it's become very popular for people to say, hey, we're going to go ahead and set a little extra aside in addition to what we want to set aside for the college and fund money. And that way, little 16-year-old Ann or little 16-year-old Johnny can take mom and dad can either pay for their first vehicle, or kind of like my parents did, you can take a loan from the bank of dad. And the idea being there that mom and dad say, here you go, we're gonna loan you the money out of your college fund to pay for your first vehicle, but you need to work and pay us an agreed upon amount back. And that way you're not getting you're not paying the bank 9, 10, 12% interest, making the bank rich. And if you saw our last show where we talked about the rule of 72 and compounding interest, you could see the devastating effect that compounding interest on a debt can have. You end up, kid can end up paying $15,000, $16,000, $17,000 for a $10,000, $12,000 car just due to a really high interest rate and a long term. So that's one popular use, of course, using the money for college, but also the ability to use the money for all those other expenses that are outside of tuition, room and board, and books. And if you've been to college, you know that there's a lot of other expenses that it just takes to live. And typically mom and dad are coming up with that money, or someone has to work, or a combination of that. I worked through college, and a lot of people have to do that. And then also sometimes people are taking extra student loans to be able to get that refund money and to live off that extra $1,200 or $1,800 student loan excess deposit, to where it's like, hey, you've got this much to live on. And if you're like most college kids, you've got that. This might strike a chord with some of you. You got that little deposit of $1,800, and you said, oh, this is great. I've got this extra student loan money. And you really had good intentions. You started out, you said, hey, we're going to, I bet I can make this last me all semester. And, 6 weeks in, you've had a good time. If you were in College Station like me, you maybe visited Northgate just once or twice. Sorry, Mom, just once or twice. You visited Northgate, and then all year, you don't have any of that student loan money left. You're not really sure what happened because you're a really good money manager at 20 years old, 21 years old. So, that happens. And then students find themselves in a bit of a tough spot. Maybe mom and dad should have controlled that money like in a traditional $1 million baby fund. And then the excess money that is not used for college, maybe a kid gets a scholarship or grants or stuff like that, where the lump sum that was set aside for college, maybe you don't use all of it. Well, mom and dad can make the decision at that point to say, okay, we got you your first car. We got you through college. Now you're on your own. Congratulations. Welcome to the real world. Or mom and dad can say, hey, listen, we'll help pay for a wedding. We'll help maybe help get you on your feet, help you with the down payment on a house to really help set you up for your future. I think there's that little gray area when you're first getting started, you're first out of college, where help from a parental figure can be massive. When you really have no money, you have no assets, you have student loan debt, you're getting your first job, but you don't have the money to maybe purchase real estate. You don't have down payment money, the ability to get into some of that stuff and start gathering equity versus necessarily paying rent for the first 4 or 5 years of time out of college. That can be some serious upside from a financial standpoint. So we won't go into much more detail of that, other than college funds, $1 million baby funds. If this is something that you have interest in, feel free to reach out. Again, we take our first conversation on something like this is typically 30 minutes to an hour. It's education based. There's nothing to do. You leave your checkbook at home. We can talk more in detail about all the different options for college funds out there. See if there's something that makes sense that you might want to put in place. Or if not, just take the education. Now you know what's out there. You know what's available. Go somewhere else, put it in place. Whatever works for you. Doesn't matter to us. So now our next guest, we're ready, fired up. Creek and Timber Legacy is a really, really cool organization. And like I've talked about before on my show, the outdoors, getting people outdoors, impacting people using nature, I think is so powerful. And I don't think anyone really realizes how powerful that is to connect with people, the stress reliever. If you've had the ability to ever get out in the woods and, turn your cell phone off, which we'll turn our cell phone off. Nobody's doing that anymore. But if you ever had the ability just to disconnect, that brings a certain level of peace. And so I'm very excited to bring in Shannon Cagle with Creek and Timber Legacy. Hey, how's it going, guys?
Good morning, Brandon. How are you doing? Or afternoon with it too.
Yeah, doing great.
I got Chandler here with me as well. He's our regional director.
Awesome. Well, welcome, guys. Well, I just want to start off because most people on our show, maybe they've never heard of Creek and Timber Legacy. Tell us a little bit about Creek and Timber Legacy, what you guys do, what's the mission? Give us the lowdown.
Okay. Well, our mission is to take out disabled first responders, veterans, and seriously ill children hunting, fishing, or just enjoying the great outdoors like you were talking about. So we're trying to give back in that manner to take these people out and give them a peace of mind in nature, just like you were just talking about.
Absolutely. And I don't know if any of our listeners, if you've ever had the chance, I actually had the opportunity to volunteer at a Wounded Warrior event, and it was a skeet shoot event. And for me, the best part of that day was seeing the pure joy, watching people get out into the outdoors, doing something that in a lot of cases, I think they probably thought they'd never get to do again. That was so rewarding. So let's talk a little bit about that, about what you guys see in terms of benefits and the lives you're able to change.
Yeah, I'm gonna let Chandler. He just went out. He just joined us in June, and we did an event a couple weekends ago with 6 women veterans and first responders. So I'll let him talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, hunting and fishing, that's our avenue, right? That's the medium at which we choose to kind of usher these situations and usher these experiences. But really the life change and the experience comes from just the camaraderie that we are bringing them back into from what they've experienced, whether they were in the military or whether they were on a team or whatever they were doing while they were serving, or they're a part of whether first responders, they're part of a team with EMS or fire, police, our law enforcement. And so we're providing, we call it outdoor therapy. That's what it is. Right. They're getting around the campfire. We're all hanging out. We're, doing whatever. We're cooking for them. We're providing drinks or whatever. And they have the chance to kind of pull down the walls and start to kind of unpack some of those things that they've experienced or haven't told anybody. And a lot of it is they're able to do it with people who know exactly what they've done. We try and do, several vets or several first responders or mix of the two at the same time. That way they're able to, kind of come in, they're able to experience it, and they're able to do it together and kind of get that team mentality like they were trained kind of back in, because that's a lot of what they're missing, because they some of the times they have a hard time reintegrating into society after their training and all their uses from the military or from law enforcement or whatever it might be. And so getting them back into society and getting them, as a husband, as a father, or as a wife, as a mother, some of that can be a hard transition for them. And so getting them around like-minded individuals, people who served in the same capacity, allows them to just start to break down the walls and start to, just kind of process through things. And so we do that so they can kind of pull themselves out of isolation, so that, it gives us a chance to help them, not pull the trigger on themselves, or, trying to get the help that they need, or get the counseling that they need, or, go get the medications that they need, or whatever it might be. That allows us the chance to provide them that opportunity.
Absolutely. And that's so huge and so needed. I came across a video the other day, and I don't even remember where it was, but it was put out by an organization, and it was snapshots of women, and they said, when you're stressed, when you're feeling just at your lowest, who do you call? And the women said, well, I call my mom, I call my best friend, and then they went to a segment of men, and they said, when you're stressed, who do you call? And the first guy says, nobody, I'm a man. I'm supposed to just get over it. And the second guy says, nobody, because nobody cares. And the third guy says, nobody, I suck it up. And man, I get a little emotional even talking about it, because it's one of those things where it was right there in your face. You're like, holy moly. It blew my mind. I never even thought about it. Especially on the men's side of, man, you really are taught growing up to just suck it up. Mm-hmm. And I think there's so much out there right now for, so much going on right now. Guys coming back, like you said, reintegrating PTSD stuff, where you guys have a real opportunity to get to give people an environment where you can save their life. 100%. You're saving guys' lives. So tell me, you have a specific story or something like that comes to mind you can share with us about something?
Yeah, actually, it was funny. While we were out on this weekend, I had a guy that reached out to me that we took on a trip back in February, and wanted to. He was a bomb tech in the military, and now works with the FBI. But one of his friends had just committed suicide 4 days before, and he was like, I wish that he'd have gone on one of these trips or had the opportunity. I'd like to see if you guys will put one together, and I can spread it out onto a Facebook group that he's in. That's a bunch of, both military and civilian bomb tech guys. And I was like, yeah, we definitely would, and he was talking about, he was kind of in a dark place before he went, with us in this outing in Arkansas. And, he's done some others, since then of, fishing and turkey hunting and stuff. And he was like, that's, helped me going forward. And so, I don't think we realized how big of a need that was out there, even when we started this a year ago. And now, almost daily, we're, reminded of, what's out there, what's needed, and, that there's more of it. So, that's why we're trying to put it out there. We're trying to raise more money so that the more money we raise, the more people we can, help.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, if someone wanted to get involved with you guys, maybe from a volunteering standpoint or whatever, what do you guys need? What I know you've got an upcoming gala, and I certainly want to give you guys an opportunity. But before we talk about the gala, if someone says, "Hey, I want to get involved with this. I want to help. I want to make a difference," what does that look like? What do you guys need?
Yeah. So the first opportunity is we're really looking for monthly partners. We're looking for people that can come on board with us, that believe in the mission, that believe in what we're doing, that are just willing to start to give with us monthly. Whether it's $20, whether it's $50, $100, whatever it is. That's going to help us continue to create our budget and continue to forecast all the hunts that we do. And so that's our first initial big need. And then, we've got some different corporate partner benefits and packages and stuff like that we're looking at, where companies and different corporations or businesses can start to partner with us, monthly or per transaction, if that's how their businesses are set up. And then, we've got a couple different opportunities where somebody, if they want to provide this opportunity for a vet or for a first responder, they can come to us and they can say, hey, we want to sponsor a hunt, or we want to sponsor a trip. And that's about an average cost of about $1,000.
Wow.
Obviously, we've got the gala coming up. I'll let them talk more about the gala, but.
Well, and they can also, volunteers as well. So, we're looking for some other people. We're put together a program where we're having some people go through training to go out and run some of these, hunting, fishing trips or even camping trips that we've got planned to help with that. And then we're in the process of, starting some other chapters, through this. Several of these participants have been out of state. So we just had somebody that came all the way from Bend, Oregon, and her and her son want to start a chapter in Oregon. We've got another group up in Oklahoma City that want to start a group there. We got one in Austin. So that's another thing that's out there as well. And then we've got lists to call of potential donors if somebody wants to do that from a volunteer standpoint. But we've got some other events. We already had a golf tournament. We have the gala coming up. That's this Saturday night. It's here in McKinney at Rock Creek Ranch. We're going with the Texas Tux, so it's not real formal, but you get to go out there and show a little bit of Western spirit there. And then we've got a skeet shoot that we're doing in October. We'll need some people to volunteer for that as well, and then we'll start all over again next year. We've got a golf tournament. We're going to do a fishing tournament next year.
Nice.
And I think cornhole. We've added a couple of other.
Yeah, I was going to say, count me in for a cornhole. I can help you guys organize that. Yeah,
there you go. So we've got some other events that we're continuing to add. We really only had 3 this year, but we're going to add some other ones for next year. We've had some people that came in that volunteered. It was like, hey, I love to fish. I've done tournaments. I've done local tournaments. It's like, okay, well, you take charge of that, and we'll back you in everything you need. So, we've got opportunity for that as well, for sure.
Nice. That's awesome. And then what's the best way for people to keep updated on this? Is it following your Facebook page or a blog?
Yeah, we do a lot on Facebook. They can go onto our website, which is the creekandtimberlegacy.org that you're running across the bottom there, and sign up for our newsletters that we send out stuff through. So either one of those would be fantastic.
Nice. Awesome. And then the gala this Saturday, is it there's still availability, there's still tickets available, right?
Yes, we still do have tickets available, and we'll probably run those till Thursday, and then cut them off on Thursday.
Gotcha. Okay, awesome. And in this event, are you expecting I see there you've got auctions, raffles, giveaways, stuff like that. Is this a family event where you can bring the wife, the kids, everybody?
Yeah, you can. Most of them have been couples that we got. I think they wanted to have a date night that they're turning it into.
Nice.
We're going to have some, country music there. Some great food and drinks as well. We have a really good guest speaker that's coming from Oklahoma that is a previous vet. I think it's going to be pretty entertaining. And then, we'll do some live auction items as well as some raffles. We've got some guns to give away, some hunting and fishing trips,
Nice.
some artwork, wine, a lot of different things there.
Yeah. Well, something for everybody. Yeah, that's
Right.
awesome. Well, hey, listen, if you've got something going on, or you don't have anything going on this weekend, or listen, between you and I, we all know here that we're probably overdue for a date night to take the missus out. So it's one of those great excuses to support a great cause, but also have a fun night out. So I would encourage you guys, if you've got the availability to go to the gala this weekend, it's going to be a blast. As you can tell, these guys are passionate about what they do. They're making a difference in the community, which is why I was so excited to get them on and have them guests of our compounding community show. So with that being said, any closing thoughts, you guys, about what you're looking at for the future of Creek and Timber Legacy?
We're just going to keep building and trying to affect as many lives as we can, leave the world a little better than we found it. And so, this year we made a goal at the beginning of the year to take out 120 recipients. We're on pace for that. And then I'm sure we'll increase that for next year. So
Yeah. And if you know somebody that is a part of our criteria that you would be able to refer to us. We'd love to get to talk to them and get to take them on a trip like this. Again, we take wounded, disabled, veterans, first responders, and then terminally disabled and terminally ill children on hunting and fishing trips. And so a lot of it is, sometimes those guys, people that meet that criteria might not necessarily be outdoors people, but offer it to them. We're willing to take anybody, and sometimes they don't even know that this is an option. Yeah. So, let them know we take care of everything. It's a full, all expenses paid trip. We take care of all of it. And so, if they just show up with, just the clothes on their back, we're going to have everything for them. So.
That's awesome. That's awesome, man. I so appreciate what you guys are doing. If you've ever, there's been movements over the years that take a kid fishing movement, and those movements get outdoor movements. And, if you've ever, well, I tell you what, think back to the first time you went out and you caught a fish, or the first time you went out and experienced the outdoors.
Yeah.
For somebody to get to see that, whether it's a kid or a teen or an adult, I've never seen anyone experience the outdoors and connect with people and go away with anything other than a huge smile on their face. I mean, it's life-changing. Yeah. And then you're also talking about introducing something from a therapeutical standpoint that someone can then take and do in the future. I think it's intimidating sometimes. There's times where I have conversations with people and I say, well, hey, do you hunt? Well, no, I don't really know about hunting. Well, hey, do you fish? Well, a little bit, but I've never really operated a boat. I'd like to have a boat, and so you have a little bit of that intimidation factor of not knowing, or maybe you didn't grow up with that. So the ability to have someone kind of help you, in addition to, you've been through some stuff, the addition for you to recommend, or the ability to recommend someone and introduce that to them, where now they have a level of comfort with that. Like growing up, I always heard, that was one of the things everybody said about golf is it's such a great sport. You can play it your entire life. Mm-hmm. Similar to the outdoors and fishing, you never age out. It's not like high school baseball where, a couple years you're out. So, yeah. Well, awesome. Well, thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. We'll continue to coordinate, and I look forward to working with you guys, having some events in the future and everything, and continuing to promote you guys on our show. So thank you for the time.
Thank you for having us.
Yep, absolutely. Well, we're kind of, on the backside of it. Got a few more minutes here. I wanted to go over 3 quick things real quick. One of which is some upcoming events. But before I plug those upcoming events, if you've listened this far, first of all, thank you for listening. Thank you for being here. Your view, your listen. It means the world to me. I really am, taking time and putting a lot of effort into us building a radio show that adds value to your life, that brings good and positivity into your world, and also provides education. And so, with that being said, if you are a community leader, or even if you're not a community leader, if that word sounds intimidating and you're like, no, I'm just a guy helping a Boy Scout troop, or I'm just someone that helps coach the baseball team, or whatever it is that you do, if you have events that you want community support, if you have events that you want more people to know about, we say this all the time. Most things fail not because of the quality of the event or the quality of the business. It fails, or maybe doesn't fail, but it's not as amazing as it could have been, just because not enough people knew about it. And I know in our communities, between Melissa, Anna, McKinney, Allen, even Frisco, our kind of surrounding areas, all the time you're driving around and you see something, you say, well, what's that? Well, I would have gone to that had I known about it. So if you have an upcoming event, don't worry, you don't have to come on the show if you don't want. There's certainly some limited opportunities for that if you did want to come on the show and shout out your event. But if not, feel free to reach out to me over Facebook. Just a quick Facebook message. Hey, man, I've got this event coming up. We're doing a bake sale. We're doing this over here. We're doing this, supporting this group. Let me know. I'm happy to highlight it on this show. I'm not going to charge you anything for that. And just excited to help grow the awareness in our community. So with that being said, a couple of quick things that are coming up, going along with our theme of our last show. with cornhole. We've got there are 2 events coming up if you are a fan of the game of cornhole. One being the Crown the Queen event that we highlighted on our last show, has actually been postponed and pushed back to September. It's going to be September 25th at noon. That's a Saturday, September 25th. It's going to be here in Dallas. It is called Crown the Queen. So if you search on Facebook, Crown the Queen, you'll see the information, the event page for that. And then the second is there is a South Dallas Cornhole League this Thursday, the 22nd at 7 p.m. It is a little bit of a drive if you live on the north side. It's down in Ennis, Texas. So again, if you're a cornhole person, you can Google South Dallas Cornhole, and they've got their page and all the information there. Again, if you've got league nights, if you've got things coming up that you'd like to grow, as you can see, I'm happy to shout those out. Obviously we're starting with the ones that I'm passionate about, but I encourage you. We've got beautiful weather. Get outdoors, go fishing, go check out the lake, go do something fun with your family, and certainly get involved in these events. Get involved with these Creek and Timber Legacy, and let's really band together. It's a beautiful time of year. We've all got a little time on our hands, vacations and stuff like that happening. So it's a great time to get involved and to start making a difference. And if all of us lift where we stand, next thing you know, we're raising this thing and we're really elevating our communities, and that's what it's all about. So I want to thank you again for attending the Compounding Communities, the Brandon Lakey Show. Appreciate you guys, and have a good one. We'll see you next week.
Welcome to the Brandon Lakey Show.